Meet Chioma, a bright and ambitious school prefect who has everything going for her: popularity, talent, and a promising future. But behind her confident exterior lies a painful secret. Desperate to hide her mother's job as a maid from her friends and peers, Chioma orchestrates a web of lies, convincing her mother to play the part of a maid during a special school event, all in the name of dignity. In a life-or-death situation, Chioma learns that true strength lies not in hiding, but in embracing her roots. As friendships are tested and truths are revealed, will Chioma recover the motherly love again or not? If today happens to be your first time on this channel, then hit on the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you will never miss an update. And to our returning subscribers, thank you for always supporting and watching our videos. Now let's get into the full story. Chioma Okwosa was not just any student at Crestwood High. She was the reigning queen of the school, the darling of both the faculty and her peers. With a beaming smile and a can-do attitude, she glided through the hallways like a celebrity, her reputation solidified by her impeccable grades and her role as the esteemed school prefect. Teachers often praised her for her leadership skills, while students clamored to be in her orbit, hoping that some of her popularity might rub off on them. If life were a high school musical, Chioma would definitely be the star. But as the saying goes, all that glitters is not gold. Behind her confident exterior lay the struggles of a girl trying to maintain a facade that felt more fragile than her favorite pair of high-heeled shoes. Chioma's mother, Mama Nkechi, worked tirelessly as a maid, cleaning the homes of the wealthy in their neighborhood. While Mama Nkechi took pride in her work, Chioma had developed a deep sense of shame about her family's financial situation. She felt like a plant trying to grow in the shadows, desperate for sunlight but trapped in darkness. Whenever Chioma looked around at her classmates, she saw their parents arriving in shiny cars and designer outfits. Her friends casually mentioned summer vacations in exotic locations, while she quietly worried about whether her mother could afford her next school fee. "Do they really think I'm one of them?" she often wondered, biting her lip, a habit she'd developed from all the worry. Her friends, with their picture-perfect families, made it easy for her to convince herself that she was an imposter, one scandalous revelation away from losing everything. Ademola Adebayo was Chioma's closest friend, a star athlete with a heart of gold and a smile that could charm even the strictest of teachers. Together, they made a dynamic duo, navigating the minefields of teenage life while sharing countless laughs. "You know, Chioma," Ademola teased one day, "if you keep this up, you might just get elected as the queen of the school." Chioma rolled her eyes, but deep down, she loved the idea. In the cafeteria, Chioma could often be found surrounded by a group of admirers, each vying for her attention. One day, as they engaged in light-hearted banter, she found herself longing to share a piece of her truth. "I just got a new dress," one of her friends squealed, flaunting the latest fashion. "What about you, Chioma? I bet you have a closet full of designer outfits." Yeah, it's in the wash," Chioma stammered, a nervous laugh escaping her lips. Her friends nodded in understanding, blissfully unaware of her carefully constructed web of lies. They assumed her wardrobe was filled with the latest trends when, in reality, Chioma's clothes often came from thrift stores or were hand-me-downs. The pressure mounted as the school announced a Profession Day event, where students could invite their parents to showcase their jobs. The announcement sent Chioma into a tailspin. "What will I do?" she fretted, her mind racing. "If everyone knows my mom is a maid, they'll see me as the poor girl." Desperate to preserve her reputation, Chioma hatched a plan. "Mama," she called one evening, her voice laced with anxiety, "you have to dress as a maid for the event. It'll show my friends that maids are important, too." Mama Nkechi looked at her daughter, her heart aching. "But Chioma, I am your mother, not just a maid," she replied gently. Chioma's heart sank, but she pressed on, insisting that her mother's appearance was crucial for her social survival. Mama Nkechi, with love in her eyes and a heavy heart, reluctantly agreed, hoping to support Chioma in her quest for acceptance. As the days went by, Chioma's lies grew heavier, wrapping around her like a suffocating blanket. The fear of being exposed gripped her heart, but she believed she was doing what was necessary to protect herself. She chuckled to herself nervously. If they only knew I'm hiding a superhero under this facade. Yet, in the back of her mind, the whispers of guilt echoed. Chioma was torn between two worlds, one of friendship and admiration, and the other of love and truth. Little did she know, this delicate balance was about to tip in the most unexpected way. As the sun peeked through the clouds on the morning of Profession Day, Chioma woke up with a mix of excitement and dread swirling in her stomach like a tornado. She glanced at the mirror, adjusting her perfectly styled hair while suppressing the knot of anxiety tightening in her chest. Today was the day she would introduce her mother, Mom Nkechi, to her friends, dressed as a maid, of course. "Okay, Chioma, just act natural," she muttered to herself, putting on her most confident smile. But beneath that smile lay an avalanche of worries. What if her friends found out the truth? What if they started asking questions she couldn't answer? It was a delicate balance, and she felt like she was walking on a tightrope, one misstep away from a disastrous fall. When Chioma arrived at school, the buzz of excitement filled the air, echoing off the lockers as students chattered animatedly about the day's events. Her friends greeted her with wide smiles and enthusiastic waves. "Hey, Chioma, are you ready for your mom to wow us?" one of them teased, flipping her hair dramatically. Chioma forced a laugh, but inside, her heart raced. As the event unfolded, Chioma's friends introduced their parents, who each showcased impressive careers: doctors, engineers, and successful business owners. They looked pristine in their tailored suits, a striking contrast to Mom Nkechi, who would soon arrive dressed as a maid. Chioma felt her stomach churn with every introduction, her facade growing heavier as the morning dragged on. When Mom Nkechi finally arrived, Chioma's heart pounded like a drum. Her mother stood at the entrance, dressed in a modest black and white maid uniform, complete with an apron and a little white cap perched on her head. Though Mom Nkechi looked graceful and dignified, Chioma could barely meet her gaze. She had painted a picture that needed to be perfect, and this was not part of the canvas she had envisioned. "Don't look so nervous, Chioma. She looks lovely," one of her friends exclaimed, oblivious to Chioma's inner turmoil. The words felt like daggers, slicing through her carefully constructed world. With a deep breath, Chioma approached Mom Nkechi, her heart heavy with guilt. "You look, great, Mama," she said, forcing a smile. Mom Nkechi returned the smile with warmth, but a hint of sadness flickered in her eyes. "Thank you, my dear," she replied, her voice soft. "I just want to support you." Chioma waved her mother over to where her friends gathered, the anxiety tightening its grip. "Everyone, this is my, housekeeper," she introduced, her voice betraying her as it quivered. Mom Nkechi's eyes widened for a moment, but she quickly masked her hurt with a smile. The students exchanged glances, some stifling laughter, while others whispered, trying to understand the dynamics of Chioma's life. As the day progressed, Chioma's friends took selfies with Mom Nkechi, who graciously posed despite the clear discomfort of the situation. "Say cheese," one of them called out, capturing moments that Chioma would later wish to erase. The laughter rang in her ears, but the joy felt hollow. Each click of the camera felt like another nail in the coffin of her lies. Finally, during the talent showcase segment of the day, Chioma was asked to speak about her family. Her heart raced as she approached the microphone, and all eyes turned to her. My family is very supportive," she began, the words feeling foreign in her mouth. "My mother, she works very hard." Just as she was about to dive into a rehearsed monologue about the importance of hard work, a voice piped up from the back. "Isn't she your maid?" one of her classmates shouted, laughter erupting from the crowd. The laughter felt like a punch to Chioma's gut, and she faltered, caught in the web of her lies. For the first time, she saw Mom Nkechi's smile falter. The weight of shame settled heavily on Chioma's shoulders. She quickly finished her speech, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maid or not, she is my mother, and I love her." But the laughter continued to echo in her ears, and as she stepped down from the podium, the weight of the day felt unbearable. Chioma rushed to her mother's side, fighting back tears. "I'm so sorry, Mama," she whispered, but Mom Nkechi simply nodded, understanding the turmoil swirling in her daughter's heart. As they drove home that day, the silence hung heavily between them. Mom Nkechi finally broke the quiet. "You don't need to be ashamed of me, Chioma. I'm proud of who I am and what I do, she said, her voice calm and steady. You should be too. Chioma glanced out the window, feeling the sting of tears threaten to spill over. I just wanted to fit in, she confessed, her voice barely audible. I thought I could hide the truth. Mom Nkechi reached over, squeezing Chioma's hand gently. Your worth is not determined by what others think of you. You are so much more than a title or a social status. Remember that. But as they pulled into their driveway, Chioma felt the weight of her decisions pressing down on her more than ever. She had tried to impress her friends, but in doing so, she had betrayed the one person who loved her unconditionally. Little did she know, the events of the upcoming days would challenge her more than she ever imagined, forcing her to confront not only her lies, but also the bonds of love that held her family together. As the lunch bell rang, Chioma and Adanna, still basking in the unexpected fun of professional day, found themselves seated at a table surrounded by Chioma's friends. The atmosphere was lively, filled with laughter and the clattering of trays as students discussed their parents' professions and the embarrassing moments that came with them. I swear my dad showed up dressed as a superhero, declared Kofi, a tall, lanky boy known for his wild imagination. He even had a cape and everything. All the little kids thought he was the real deal. Oh, come on. That's nothing. Chioma laughed, her voice a melodic chime above the chatter. At least your dad is a hero. My mom, she's a glamorous maid. Everyone should see her in action, especially when she's wielding that feather duster like a sword. Adanna, overhearing, grinned and pretended to brandish her feather duster, as if it were a magic wand. I can enchant this dust away faster than you can say cleanliness is next to godliness. The table erupted in laughter, but Chioma's heart felt a little lighter, thankful for her mother's spirit. This moment of joy, however, was short-lived. Did you hear about the blood drive? Asked ESI, Chioma's closest friend, a girl with a penchant for gossip. They need donors, and they say someone might actually need blood. Can you believe it? Maybe someone will faint, and it'll be a dramatic moment like in the movies. Oh please, that sounds like something out of a telenovela. Chioma replied, rolling her eyes. What's next? Will we have a love triangle too? Meanwhile, in the corner of the cafeteria, two boys were whispering conspiratorially. Did you see Chioma's mom? Dressing up as a maid? I thought she was a school prefect. One of them snickered. That's just Chioma trying to cover up her mom's real job, the other boy replied. She's probably embarrassed. Chioma caught the tail end of their conversation, her heart sinking as embarrassment washed over her. She quickly shifted the topic. So who's going to donate blood? I hear they're giving away free snacks. As the lunch period ended, Chioma couldn't shake the nagging feeling that her friends were starting to see her differently. She decided to shake it off and focus on preparing for the big day ahead. Little did she know that fate had other plans in store. The following week, Crestwood High was buzzing again, but this time it wasn't just the excitement of school spirit. A blood donation drive was organized, and the entire school was abuzz with chatter about who would step up to save lives, or at least score some free pizza and community service hours. Are you donating, Chioma? ESI asked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. You could be a hero today. Chioma chuckled, trying to keep her anxiety at bay. Sure, I'll donate if I don't faint first. You know my history with needles. It's not pretty. As students lined up to donate, Chioma felt an uneasy tension rising in her chest. The thought of needing blood herself suddenly became all too real. But she quickly brushed it off. I'm a prefect. I have to show them that I'm brave. Adanna, who was also there, was proudly cheering for the students as they stepped up to donate. But then disaster struck. Chioma began to feel dizzy, her vision blurring slightly. She shook her head, trying to clear her mind. No, I can't pass out. I'm the queen of this school. Are you okay, Chioma? Kofi asked, noticing her sudden pallor. You look like you've seen a ghost. Just a little lightheaded, Chioma muttered, trying to play it cool. But her body had other plans. Suddenly, she felt a wave of nausea wash over her. I need to sit down, she gasped, her face going pale. ESI, panic-stricken, rushed to her side. Someone get a teacher. Chioma needs help. The teachers scrambled to her aid, and within moments, She was whisked away to the nurse's office, her heart racing faster than a roller coaster ride. "Stay with us, Chioma. You're going to be fine," Adanna shouted, her voice filled with concern as she followed. In the nurse's office, Chioma lay on the cot, feeling utterly defeated. "What if I really need blood?" she thought, her mind racing through a montage of embarrassment. What if Mom's blood is the only match? As fate would have it, they soon discovered that Chioma's blood type was rare, and her situation became dire. Her friends rushed in, worried and anxious, but Chioma's heart sank deeper as she realized the truth would soon come to light. With no other options left, the school nurse reached out to Adanna, asking her to donate blood. The room fell silent, all eyes on Chioma, as she realized the consequences of her actions. "No, please. Not my mom," Chioma pleaded, her voice trembling with dread. "I can't let them know." But the situation was urgent, and as her classmates waited anxiously, the nurse had no choice. In that moment, Chioma's world spun out of control. She had spent so much time trying to hide her mother's identity, and now, the truth loomed over her like a thunderstorm ready to unleash its fury. "What have I done?" Chioma whispered to herself, regret flooding her heart. The reality of her deception began to unravel, and Chioma's laughter from professional day faded into the background, replaced by the looming shadows of truth and consequence. Little did she know, the worst was yet to come. In the moments that followed, Chioma lay on the nurse's cot, feeling the weight of her deception pressing down like a heavy backpack full of textbooks. Her heart raced not just from the dizziness, but from the impending fear of exposure. The urgency of her condition echoed in the small room, drowning out her thoughts. "Don't worry, Chioma," Adanna said, trying to keep the atmosphere light. "You're going to be fine. Think of all the pizza you can eat after this." But Chioma wasn't convinced. "Adanna, what if my mom's blood isn't just for this? What if she has to meet all my friends? What if they find out she's been a maid this whole time?" "Relax. No one is going to care about that when they see you're in trouble," Adanna replied, though her tone was laced with concern. Meanwhile, ESI and Kofi peeked through the nurse's office door, worry etched on their faces. "Is she okay? What if she's dying?" Kofi exclaimed, his imagination running wild. "Relax. I think she just needs a cookie or something," ESI suggested, her voice playful despite her worry. "Or a donut. Everyone knows donuts cure everything," Kofi declared, trying to lighten the mood. In the nurse's office, the atmosphere shifted as the reality of the situation settled in. The nurse turned to Adanna, who was nervously tapping her foot. "We need to get a compatible donor quickly. Do you know your blood type?" Adanna swallowed hard. I'm not sure. I think I'm AB positive, but don't take my word for it. I once got an A on a science test, and that was just for my writing." "Great. Just great," Chioma groaned, her stomach twisting with anxiety. "This is just what I need. My life is officially a soap opera." After a brief silence, the nurse looked at Chioma seriously. "We need to call your mother. If she's compatible, she could save your life." The very mention of her mother sent a chill down Chioma's spine. "No, please. Not my mom. I can't have her coming here dressed as a maid in front of everyone." But the nurse had already taken the initiative, picking up the phone. "You need to stop thinking about appearances and start thinking about your health." As Chioma's heart raced, so did her mind. The laughter of her friends suddenly echoed in her head. How would they react to the truth? Would they still think she was the cool, popular prefect, or would they view her as a fraud? Moments later, Adanna sat beside Chioma, her expression serious. "Chioma, you need to tell them the truth before it's too late. You've been running away from it, and now it's coming for you." The weight of those words struck Chioma like a thunderbolt. "What do you mean? They don't have to know." "But they will know," Adanna replied, her eyes softening. "You're not just hiding your mother's identity, you're hiding who you are. And that's not fair to anyone, especially yourself." A moment of silence fell over them. Chioma felt a lump form in her throat as she considered Adanna's words. She had built her reputation on lies, and now, with her life on the line, she faced the possibility of losing everything. Suddenly, the door burst open, and a flustered nurse rushed in. Chioma, your mother's here. Chioma's heart dropped. She squeezed her eyes shut as if trying to will the reality away. When she opened them again, she saw Adanna watching her with a mix of encouragement and sympathy. Go ahead. You can do this, Adanna said softly, a smile dancing on her lips. But Chioma felt paralyzed, her heart pounding as her mother walked through the door. In that moment, she realized there was no escaping the truth. As the door swung open, Chioma's heart raced faster than a cheetah on the run. There stood Adanna, her mother, who had arrived looking worried but determined. Adanna's expression shifted from relief to confusion as she took in the scene. Chioma, what happened? She asked, rushing to her daughter's side. Chioma's cheeks flushed crimson. Mom, this isn't what it looks like. I swear. Adanna looked at her daughter, and the confusion turned to concern. You scared me half to death. I just came from work, and they said you needed blood. Why didn't you just tell me you were feeling unwell? In that moment, Chioma felt smaller than she ever had before. Because I didn't want anyone to know you were a maid, she finally confessed, her voice barely a whisper. I thought it would ruin my reputation at school. Adanna's eyes widened in shock, and a flicker of hurt crossed her face. So you lied to everyone about me? You wanted me to dress up like a maid for some ridiculous school event? I thought it was for the best, Chioma exclaimed, her voice rising slightly in defense. I wanted to be respected, Mom. I didn't want people to think I was from a poor family. I wanted to be the perfect prefect. Adanna placed a hand on her hip, a familiar stance that always indicated she was about to deliver a lecture. Chioma, your worth isn't defined by what others think. It's defined by who you are and how you treat people. And what you did was wrong. As they spoke, Chioma could feel the tension in the room thicken. ESI and Kofi stood outside the door, anxiously awaiting the next turn of events. They exchanged glances, trying to gauge whether they should barge in or run for the hills. I can't believe you, Chioma. You put on this facade for so long. Adanna continued, her voice growing softer yet firmer. And now you need my blood. Do you really think I could let you down, even if you wanted to hide me? Tears welled up in Chioma's eyes, and she shook her head. I was just scared, Mom. Scared of losing everything I've built. And now, with all of this, I don't know what to do. Adanna knelt beside her, wrapping her arms around Chioma in a warm embrace. You can't hide who you are. You're my daughter, and I love you no matter what. No maid outfit could ever change that. Mom, I'm so sorry. I was selfish. I didn't mean to make you feel like a shameful secret, Chioma sniffled, her voice breaking. Just then, ESI and Kofi mustered enough courage to peek into the room, curiosity etched on their faces. Everything okay in here? Kofi asked, trying to sound casual but clearly failing. Chioma pulled away from her mother, her face a mixture of embarrassment and defiance. You guys heard everything, didn't you? The truth hung in the air like a cloud ready to burst. Adanna glanced at the two students, and her expression softened. Yes, and it's time for Chioma to tell you the truth. As the tension hung thick in the air, Chioma took a deep breath and prepared to face the music. All right, listen up. My mom isn't just a maid. She's my superhero. And I'm sorry for pretending she wasn't. ESI's eyes widened in shock, while Kofi chuckled. Wow, a superhero maid. That's way cooler than I thought. Chioma laughed, the pressure easing slightly. Yeah, and she can kick dust bunnies to the curb in record time. The three friends erupted in laughter, and even Adanna couldn't help but smile. See, you don't need to hide who you are, Chioma. Just embrace it. With that, the storm of emotions began to settle, and Chioma felt a weight lift off her shoulders. It was time to face the world as her true self, and with her mother by her side, she knew she could conquer anything. The next day, Chioma returned to school, her heart racing with anticipation and dread. She was ready to face her classmates, but uncertainty gnawed at her. Would they accept her, or would they shun her for her lies? As she walked through the school gates, whispers filled the air. The student body was buzzing with news of the incident at the clinic. ESI and Kofi flanked her, trying to bolster her confidence. Just remember, you're still the Chioma we know, ESI said, nudging her playfully. The one who can throw a mean party and ace a math test while juggling 3 pizzas. Kofi chuckled. And who has the best dance moves in the school? Just think of the dance-off last week. No one could beat you. Thanks, guys, Chioma replied, feeling slightly more encouraged. But when they reached their lockers, a crowd of students had gathered, whispering and glancing her way. The tension in the air was palpable. Just then, the school's basketball star, Ben, approached. He was known for his charisma and popular status. "Hey, Chioma. Heard you had a little drama yesterday," he said with a smirk. "Made costume and everything? Pretty bold move." Chioma swallowed hard, her stomach twisting. "It wasn't what it looked like," she defended, feeling small. But Ben only laughed. "Come on. We all know you're just trying to maintain your perfect prefect image. How does it feel to have a maid for a mom? Bet that's a fun story at dinner." Laughter erupted among the crowd, and Chioma felt the heat rise in her cheeks. Just as she was about to respond, Adanna appeared, marching through the hallway like a force of nature. "Excuse me." Adanna's voice rang out, silencing the crowd. "I may work as a maid, but that doesn't define me or my daughter." Chioma's heart soared with pride, and her friends exchanged impressed looks. Adanna continued, "Chioma is a brilliant student and an even better daughter. You should be ashamed of yourselves for laughing at her expense." Ben blinked in surprise, his bravado faltering. I didn't mean it like that." Adanna raised an eyebrow, a fierce look in her eyes. "Well, maybe you should think before you speak. You never know the struggle behind a person's smile." With that, she turned to Chioma, who was beaming with admiration. "See, you're not alone in this. Just remember, people are often too quick to judge." As Adanna walked away, the energy in the hallway shifted. Chioma's classmates began to look at her with a mix of awe and empathy. "Wow, your mom is awesome," ESI exclaimed, high-fiving Chioma. Kofi chimed in, "Totally. She put Ben in his place. I'd vote for her as best mom any day." Feeling a swell of support, Chioma straightened her posture. "Thanks, guys, but I need to set things straight with everyone." She took a deep breath and faced the gathering crowd. "I know I've messed up, and I'm sorry for pretending my mom wasn't part of my life. She's my everything, and I shouldn't have been ashamed of that." As the words left her mouth, she felt a weight lift. The murmurs faded, and instead, some students began to nod in understanding. "Chioma, you're still our prefect," a voice called from the back. "Your mom is cool, and we respect you for owning up." A ripple of agreement spread through the crowd, and soon they were applauding. Chioma couldn't believe her ears. ESI turned to her with wide eyes. "See, it's not so bad. You're a trendsetter now. Who knew being honest could make you a legend?" Kofi chimed in. "Next thing you know, you'll have a fan club. Team Chioma." The laughter returned, and Chioma felt a surge of happiness. Maybe, just maybe, she could redefine who she was at school. With her mom by her side, she could embrace her truth. Days turned into weeks, and Chioma began to navigate her new reality. Instead of hiding her mother's identity, she embraced it, bringing Adanna to school events and introducing her as her hero. At lunch, Chioma had formed a new tradition. Every Friday, she invited her friends over Forb Family Day. The first week, Adanna arrived with her signature spaghetti and meatballs, filling the cafeteria with an aroma that drew everyone's attention. "Whoa, what's that?" Ben asked, his eyes wide. "Is that homemade?" Chioma grinned. "Yep, my mom's cooking. I decided that if I'm going to be proud of my roots, I might as well share the deliciousness." As they dug into the food, Chioma's friends were pleasantly surprised. "This is amazing. I never knew you had a chef at home," Kofi exclaimed, shoveling more spaghetti onto his plate. ESI nudged Chioma playfully. "I think you just became the coolest kid in school. Not only do you have the best dance moves, but you also have the best food." The laughter and camaraderie grew, and as more students joined their table, Chioma felt her heart swell with pride. "Hey, Chioma," Ben called out, his mouth full of meatball. "Your mom is actually awesome. Mind if I get her secret recipe?" Chioma chuckled, shaking her head. "No way. You have to earn that right." As the weeks went by, Chioma's reputation shifted. She was no longer just the perfect prefect. She was a trendsetter, a friend, and someone who wasn't afraid to show her true self. But the real turning point came during a school assembly. The principal announced an award for Most Inspiring Student, and Chioma had been nominated. As she stood on stage, nerves tingling, she glanced at her mom in the audience, a proud smile on her face. "Thank you to everyone who believed in me. Even when I didn't believe in myself," Chioma began. "This journey has taught me that honesty and love are more powerful than any title or reputation." Applause erupted, echoing through the auditorium. Chioma felt like she was flying. "I want to dedicate this award to my mom, who's been my biggest supporter. No matter what, she's always been there, and I'm proud of who she is." Tears welled in Adanna's eyes as she clapped, feeling her daughter's love wash over her like a warm hug. As Chioma stepped off the stage, her friends rushed over, lifting her into the air. "You did it, Chioma. You're our queen." Laughing, Chioma felt like she was on top of the world. But the real victory wasn't just the award. It was the acceptance and love she had gained from her peers, and most importantly, the bond with her mother. As they celebrated, Chioma knew this was just the beginning of her journey. With laughter and love as her foundation, she was ready to face anything life threw her way. As Chioma basked in her newfound popularity and acceptance, life took an unexpected turn. One afternoon, during a particularly chaotic lunch, a letter arrived for her, delivered by the school's ever-eager gossip machine, Tolu. "Chioma, you've got a letter from the principal," Tolu announced dramatically, drawing the attention of the entire cafeteria. "Great," Chioma muttered, her heart sinking. "What now?" As she opened the letter, her palms began to sweat. It was an invitation to an elite leadership conference for student leaders across the state. The opportunity was incredible, but there was a catch. Each student had to bring a parent or guardian. "Oh," Kofi teased, leaning over her shoulder. "What's the problem? Afraid your mom will show up in her maid uniform?" "Shut up," Chioma shot back, though a nervous laugh escaped her lips. "This is serious." Her friends gathered around, brainstorming ways to make the event a success without causing any embarrassment. "Yes," I suggested. "What if we just dress her up in something fancy? I bet she'd look amazing in a nice dress." "But she's still my mom," Chioma protested. "I can't just pretend she's someone else." Just then, Adanna walked in, carrying a tray of brownies. "What's all the commotion?" she asked, glancing at the crowd. "Mom," Chioma exclaimed, her voice a mix of excitement and fear. "I just got invited to this leadership conference, but I need to bring you with me. You're okay with that, right?" Adanna's eyes widened, her mouth full of brownie. "Of course. I'd love to go," she replied enthusiastically, crumbs falling from her lips. "But you have to promise not to wear your maid outfit," Chioma joked, grinning. "This time, we need a CEO mom vibe." Adanna laughed, wiping her mouth with the back of her hand. "Deal. I'll even let you pick my outfit." As the day of the conference approached, Chioma and Adanna spent hours preparing. They scoured the local mall, with Chioma picking out a stylish blouse and a trendy skirt for her mother, while Adanna insisted on helping Chioma pick out something elegant but comfortable for herself. The day arrived, and Chioma felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety as they entered the conference hall. The space was buzzing with students and their guardians, all showcasing their unique styles and impressive backgrounds. Chioma spotted Ben across the room and waved. He looked a bit awkward, standing next to his father, the town's mayor. "Hey, Chioma. Nice to see you," he called out, but his eyes widened when he saw Adanna next to her. Is that your mom?" he asked incredulously, blinking in disbelief. "Yep," Chioma replied, standing tall. "This is Adanna, my amazing mom." Ben scratched his head, momentarily speechless. "Wow, I had no idea. She's really cool." Just then, the principal took the stage, his voice booming through the auditorium. "Welcome to our annual leadership conference. Today, we celebrate our future leaders and their incredible contributions." As Chioma and Adanna settled into their seats, Chioma felt a sense of pride wash over her. She had gone from hiding her mother to showcasing her as an inspiration. When the first session began, Adanna impressed everyone with her insights on leadership, sharing stories from her own experiences and emphasizing the importance of honesty and integrity. Chioma beamed with pride, her heart swelling with admiration. After the first few presentations, they took a break and Chioma's classmates gathered around her, discussing how impressed they were with her mom. "This is insane. Your mom knows so much," Kofi said, munching on a snack. "Totally," ESI added. "I can't believe we doubted you before." As Chioma's friends complimented her mom, she realized she had created something beautiful from her earlier mistakes, an unbreakable bond forged through honesty and acceptance. The conference concluded with a surprise announcement. The students were asked to nominate someone who demonstrated remarkable growth and leadership throughout the year. Chioma's heart raced as she realized they were looking for someone to award the most inspirational student title. Her classmates began discussing nominees, and Chioma felt a rush of hope. "I know who should win," Kofi said, raising his hand. "Chioma deserves it. She's shown us all what it means to be real and proud." One by one, voices joined in, cheering for Chioma. As the principal called her name, Chioma could hardly breathe. "Chioma, please come up," he announced, his smile wide. Walking onto the stage, Chioma felt the warmth of her classmates' support. She looked out at the crowd and saw Adanna clapping, her heart bursting with pride. "I never thought I would be up here," Chioma began, her voice steady despite the excitement. "When I first became prefect, I thought I had to hide parts of myself to be accepted. But I learned that honesty and love are what truly matter. My mom has always been my biggest supporter, and I'm grateful for her every day." Tears filled her eyes as she spotted ESI and Kofi cheering loudly. "Today, I want to dedicate this award to all the parents who work hard to support their children. You are all heroes in your own right." Chioma finished, her voice echoing with sincerity. The crowd erupted into applause and Chioma stepped back, feeling a mix of relief and joy. As she descended the stage, her classmates rushed to congratulate her, and even Ben approached with a newfound respect. "Hey Chioma, I'm sorry for being a jerk before. You're amazing, and your mom is too," he said, extending his hand. "Thanks, Ben. I appreciate that," Chioma replied, shaking his hand with a smile. Later that evening, as they sat at home with a celebratory dinner of spaghetti and brownies, Chioma looked at Adanna with gratitude. "You know, I couldn't have done this without you. I'm so lucky to have you as my mom." Adanna smiled back, her eyes shining. "And I'm proud of you, Chioma. You've learned to embrace who you are and inspire others to do the same." Chioma felt a warm glow of happiness. She knew that her journey had only just begun, but now she was ready to face it, surrounded by friends, love, and the unbreakable bond she shared with her mother. As they laughed and shared stories at the dinner table, Chioma realized that the world was a better place when everyone was true to themselves. And from that day forward, Chioma wasn't just a school prefect. She was a champion of authenticity, proudly representing her family and inspiring everyone around her to do the same. Here are some moral lessons we can learn from this story. Embrace authenticity. Chioma learns that hiding parts of herself to fit in only limits her. The story teaches that being true to oneself, including embracing one's heritage and family, is the path to genuine happiness and acceptance. The power of parental support. Adanna's unwavering support of her daughter showcases the deep impact that a parent's belief in their child can have. Parents are pillars of strength, and their love and encouragement can shape their children's confidence and growth. Pride in one's roots. Chioma's journey emphasizes the importance of being proud of one's family, background, and identity. By sharing her mother's story and talents, she not only inspires others, but also builds a stronger, more loving community around her. Leadership through vulnerability. Chioma's experience as a leader highlights that true leadership isn't about perfection, but about honesty, vulnerability, and the willingness to show one's true self. She grows into a more inspirational figure by embracing her flaws and celebrating her mother's humble role as a maid. Forgiveness and understanding. The story emphasizes the power of forgiveness, as seen when Ben apologizes to Chioma for his earlier rude comments. This teaches that acknowledging mistakes and growing from them fosters stronger relationships and mutual respect. Breaking stereotypes. Adanna's role as a maid didn't define her worth. By proudly showing her strengths and wisdom, she shatters preconceived notions about social status, proving that every person has value, regardless of their profession. Community and support. The story demonstrates how individuals thrive when surrounded by a supportive community. Chioma's classmates, once skeptical, eventually admire her for her authenticity, showing that unity and friendship can transform one's experience. Celebrating growth. Chioma's Leadership Award reflects the importance of personal growth. It's not about where you start, but how much you grow, inspiring others along the way. Growth comes from embracing challenges, being open to change, and learning from every situation. Thank you for watching the full video, but please don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section. What is your view about Chioma and her mother's story?